Greetings, all you Jackson Jennets, and welcome to your daily dose of donkey with Ginger. It's that time for some Steelers talk. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, coming to you solo to bring up some actual news during the football and shorts season. Steelers made a couple moves this week. One not really them making, but a player making. And Deontay Johnson went ahead and showed up to OTA, so I like that. I like seeing him being able to get some reps with the new quarterbacks, get that feel, maybe get comfortable with all three of them, although he should be a little comfortable with Rudolph after all. But it's good to see him come back. As for the news that everybody's probably going to talk about, Stephon Tuitt decides to retire. I don't think that was really a huge surprise coming to the Steelers. I said the Leal draft pick in the third round, because the Steelers don't draft defensive linemen in the first three rounds, made you think that they knew something was up there. And I think they knew all along that this was going to happen, and it happened on June 1st, so that just makes you think it was done purely for cap implications, that they asked him not to announce, or that they had an idea he was going to do it but told him if he's going to do it, wait till the 1st to announce it so that the cap can be spread out and now they have money. But that leaves a huge hole in the defensive line. Because let's be honest, we're expecting Cam Hayward to stay Superman going way well into his mid-30s. We're expecting Alu, who's been injured the last 2 years, to come back at 34 and be healthy and super productive. And then you need Wormley, who's coming off a bad first year in Pittsburgh, but a great second year in Pittsburgh, to have that great second year. But he's not the run stopper. He's okay at getting to the pass or on the pass rush, but he's not the run stopper. Tuitt was. So teams took advantage of the fact that two of the Steelers' best run stoppers last year, three since Alu missed the whole season, being Tuitt, Dupree, and Alu. Tuitt and Dupree are gone, no longer Steelers. The Steelers need to do something to fix this. We'll see what happens. They're hoping on a big step forward for Highsmith, but Highsmith, to me, once again, I'm going to say looks more like a pass rushing outside linebacker. He doesn't play well against the run, but maybe he'll step up and change that this year. But really, we have all these guys who are good pass rushers, which is why you see these huge sack numbers, but not very good run stuffers. So what can the Steelers do to address that need? Well, obvious answer is you bring in a guy who is a run stuffer. Personally, what I would like to see is bringing in more of the nose tackle guy, so that Alu can play more on the defensive tackle, rotate in and out with Wormley. You can use, get a good healthy rotation of people there. Let Leal work his way in if you're a fan of Loudermilk or Amondu or Archibald. Maybe they get some time in there. But I don't know. Looking at the names who are still available out there, there's a bunch of names of guys who fit. I mean, you got more of the defensive tackle guys, so the straight replacement for Tuitt and guys like Ndamukong Suh, who's still available. You have Malik Jackson, Sheldon Richardson. You're talking either all of these guys are first round. Well, I don't think they're all first round picks, but a lot of them are first round picks, and a lot of them are guys who have had success in the past doing things like this. But really what I'd prefer is more of a guy who can fit into the nose tackle. So in that case, you're looking for, and all those guys are up there in age, mid-30s or later. You got, I guess Joe McCoy's out there too if you want a really injured guy who hasn't done much in the last few years. But the guys I'm looking at are more the nose guys, and a couple of them are still in their 20s. You're talking Eddie Goldman, who played most recently with the Bears. Danny Shelton played most recently with the Giants, was a former first-round pick of the Patriots? No, the Browns, and then traded to the Patriots is how that worked. I mean, those are big, huge run-stuffing guys. Then you got a couple older, big, huge run-stuffing guys. You have like Linval Joseph, Star Latulele, who would be a good fit for me. Or we could go with a really old 30s guy who Steelers fans should know pretty well, left Pittsburgh quite a while ago, ended up winning a Super Bowl 2 years ago with the Buccaneers, and that is Steve McClendon. All of these guys I think would be good fits and need to be brought in. I have a weird feeling the Steelers are just going to stay pat because they're like, these were the three we ran with last year and the defense looked pretty good, so we're going to stay there. But once again, when you have the depth that can rotate, it makes things better. And last year, it was understandable why you only went in with three, because you expected Tuitt might come back. Never did. Now we know he's never gonna this time, and there are still available options out there. Personally, if you were to give me this list and say, who would you want? The three names that I'm really looking at are Eddie Goldman, Ndamukong Suh, and Danny Shelton, just because I think Shelton can be that huge middle run stuffer guy, and maybe after a few years of it not being huge for him, he just gets that fire when he comes to Pittsburgh. But that's the big Steelers news out of the way. On a side note, more my fandom Steelers news. Tuzar Skipper's back with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A guy who, as an undrafted free agent in his first preseason, which was 2019, I believe, I fell in love with, and I said, I like this guy. I like his potential. I think you give him a few years, he can develop. Since then, he got cut, went to the Giants, came back to the Steelers, got cut, played with a couple other teams, got cut, ends up back with Pittsburgh. This sounds like the Debo story, not quite the body type of our great James Harrison, but maybe it is our Debo story. And he's a guy who, his first preseason, every game he played recorded a sack, including 2 in the last preseason game he played. So that was 5 sacks spread out over the 4 games. I liked him. He looked like he had a good shoulder dip, looked like he had a good drive to get to the quarterback. So I am here super rooting for the comeback of Tuzar Skipper to take over that starting spot eventually from the guy who's supposed to hold it, just like Harrison did from Clark Hagens, I believe is who he took the spot from. I'm looking for Tuzar Skipper to come and take that spot. Because Alex Highsmith, you're an okay player, just like Clark Hagens was, but I don't see what everyone else sees. I hope I'm wrong. Well, actually, I hope I'm right here, because if Skipper takes it over and becomes Debo, that's great. But I hope I'm wrong on Highsmith and he becomes a really good player. I feel like he's got sold up too high, too quick, and like I said, I see Jason Worlds in him, which is a good player, but never a great player. And the Steelers have a history of great outside linebackers, so I'd love to just see that happen. But now more cap space. What does that mean for the Steelers after the Tua thing? Does that mean we go after maybe an offensive lineman, a tackle like Eric Fisher, who's still available, who's at least will give competition, and competition tends to make players better, or it could give us another starter? Do we go after another defensive lineman? Like I talked about? Do we try to add another outside linebacker? Because I know we hosted a bunch of them to try and see if we wanted any. What do the Steelers do with the money? Do they just hold it over to next year and then try to make next year's team better? This is, to me, a telling point right now for the Steelers. They have money. Are they going to go get one of these veterans who hasn't been signed yet and try to improve this year's team? Or is the idea this year's season is to be shot so that next year's team can be better? I don't know what their thought process is. I hope it's to try and make this year's team better, because I don't like wasting seasons. I mean, if you're going to develop, I get it, but you don't have to waste a developmental season. Look at Cincinnati last year. No one expected anything from them. They brought in a couple little sly on the low veterans to their offensive line, to their defensive line, and they went from being a team no one thought would do anything to a team winning the division and going to the Super Bowl. That's what I mean. You can develop a team, a young quarterback, a young wide receiver core, have a couple veterans spread in there in spots where you're a little weak, and then have a great season. There's no reason why the Steelers can't take that approach. There's no reason why the Steelers shouldn't take that approach, but we'll see in the next probably month to 2 what the plan is, and if they're willing to try and make the marginal improvements that could make this team from a blah team to a good team. Of course, biggest thing pending, is the quarterback play going to be an upgrade this year? And is this division, which is on paper stacked, going to be as stacked as it is? That's all I have for you. There's no more Steelers news, so I guess it's time to get to shout-outs. Shout-out has to be Stephon Tuitt. What a great career he had. I wish him nothing but the best going into his future endeavors. What a weird end to his career, just the hush about it, but you get the situation. Not only was he injured, but he lost a brother. You understand the hush. But my shout-out has to go to Stephon Tuitt. What a career he had for the Steelers. Arguably the most dominant player on the field his last couple years when he was healthy. I mean, he's a guy who could say the last season he played was his best season with 11 sacks, and as a defensive end in the Steelers, having that kind of sack total is impressive. So, shout out to you, Stephon. Nothing but the best in your future endeavors. Time to let you know, I am the Viking Donkey. That's Viking_Donkey on Twitch and Twitter. This is your Daily Dose of Donkey with Ginger. That's the YouTube channel. Leave us a like, leave us a comment, leave us a follow. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. I'm going to try to be getting the guest host back in here more often as we're getting closer to time, and we'll have stuff to talk about. Because when football with shorts ends, football with pads begins. And that's when the rubber meets the road and we get to really start seeing what's going on here in Steeler Nation. But with that, Donk Nation, Steeler Nation, wave them if you got them. Here we go.